Moving on, Parliament resumes its sittings tomorrow for what will be, if not its most defining sessions. And as our reporter Murimi Mwangi now tells us, let's speak to him from our city centre studios for more updates on some of the things we expect from the August House, this being a campaign year or a political year. A very good afternoon to you, Murimi. A lot is expected tomorrow. Let us in on that.
Good afternoon, Akisa. Of course, Parliament will be resuming for what will be their final session ahead of the 2017 general election. And of course, given the campaigns that we expect to take shape as early as late this month, of course, ahead of the nominations for various political parties, some of which have been scheduled for next month, the legislative agenda of Parliament could possibly be affected by quorum issues. But of course, top on the agenda of Parliament when they resume starting tomorrow will be, of course, to ensure that they do complete the budget-making process before the dissolution of Parliament, which, pursuant to the law, is supposed to happen 3 months before the general election. You know that previously that has happened between April and June. But of course, this year, the budget-making process has to be expedited in a way to ensure that everything is cleared before April to, of course, pave way for the various government departments to implement their financial obligations for the 2017-2018 financial year, given that we expect Parliament to be dissolved by May of this year since the elections are in August, Akisa. But of course, interesting times for Parliament, being that this is going to be an election year, and we expect that any legislation with effect to the country's 2017 elections, any legislation whatsoever, will have to be done speedily so that all the stakeholders are consulted early enough and the implementation process is done early enough as well, not to affect the credibility of the 2017 elections. And of course, we are talking of particular regulations that the IEBC might want to introduce with any of the changes to the law that may have happened pursuant to recent enactments that have been or amendments that have been made to the Election Laws Amendment Act. And that's, of course, to talk of the recent acrimony that we saw in Parliament over the regulation on the possibility of a backup system in the event that the main elections results transmission system and voter identification does fail. We expect that the IEBC will, of course, be sitting down with stakeholders and coming up with the modalities of what we expect to be the parameters for what is supposed to happen. In what instances do you seek the backup? Or what are these options that we are talking about? And of course, present that before the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, which ultimately would do that before Parliament, which has, as I said, a very tight schedule, given that this is going to be a busy political year, Akisa.
Definitely looks like a full in-tray for our legislators, but you've managed to speak to a number of them. Are they confident that they will be able to clear the work before May, given that it's a political year and the campaigns are just about to begin?
Well, from the government side, earlier we, together with a colleague of mine from the Standard newspaper, managed to speak to a National Assembly Majority Leader who says for government bills that have to pass through Parliament, from his side, they will try and do so before April, ensure that these bills have been debated, of course, approved before Parliament as of a deadline of April, to ensure that that is not affected by the dissolution of Parliament in May as the preparations for the 2017 elections closes in, Akisa.
Murimi, thank